Just curious, when you go back and watch film of the Syracuse game and the turnover situation, obviously not what you want. What is there any theme that you've noticed when you kind of evaluate these turnovers? Is there anything specifically you're kind of trying to stress to the guys going into the next game to kind of get those numbers down?
Well, again, I thought most of the turnovers were really unforced. I mean, they were within the zone, and we were trying to make passes that weren't there. I mean, things that we can clean up. I think we were trying to make like the right pass, but it's the next pass. I mean, they cover up so quickly that it's the like skip pass, or it ain't the pass where we kind of talk about buddy ball, where, our bigs play together inside of a zone. And then when they draw defenders, they kick the ball out. And I mean, most of the turnovers came from Race and Trace, trying to make plays out of the zone or to each other, or they lost it. So, I mean, these are things that can be cleaned up. But, I thought that was the difference in the ball game, the turnovers, and the fact that we gave too many dare shots where we're right there and not hoping that, they miss. We got to make them miss. That's kind of how I look at it. And I thought that was the difference in them winning the ball game the other night.
Mike Schumann.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, not just Syracuse, but all season so far, it seems like you guys have allowed some big runs in games, and you've also gone on big runs in games. How much of that do you attribute to just basketball, or is there something specific about this team that you're trying to clean up in terms of like mental focus and things like that?
Well, again, I'm not using it as an excuse. This team hadn't been together that long. And, you're going to have ups and downs like that until, and I don't know how many games it's going to take. I hope it's not long. We've had games where we sustained it over a 40-minute period. And then we've had games where we've had slippage, and that's a part of basketball. It happens. The two games that we did have the slippage, we made the plays down the stretch coming home to secure the win. So that's what I look at. I mean, you're going to have some close games. You're not going to blow everybody out that you play. And from a coaching standpoint, I'm just trying to find out who's going to make plays when it gets tight. And I'm still learning, our players, they're still learning me. They're still learning each other. So, I mean, it's just work in progress right now.
Jeff.
Hey, good morning, Coach. With Trace Jackson Davis, is he playing at the level of a Big Ten Player of the Year candidate? And also, what has impressed you the most about his play the past two games?
Well, again, I mean, I think he's been, when I first got the job and I started, zooming in on, how he played last year, I just thought he didn't play with the fire that he's playing with now. I mean, there were possessions that he took off a lot of times last year. And so when I put the tape together and I showed him the things that I thought he could be better, the areas where he could be better in, he's picked up in those areas. I mean, he's really making assertive effort when somebody's beat off the dribble, that he's there to try to challenge shots. He's starting to use his right hand more now, around the rim, which he rarely used a lot last year. When he did, he didn't complete the play. And, he hadn't shot a lot of jump shots. Again, the way we play, there's times he's playing out on the floor, and he's taken a few this year, but not a lot. Teams, when they play zone or they trap him, it's hard for him to make jump shots, and I mean, again, I like where we're playing him right now because he is playing at a high level and he's making plays around the rim where he should be making plays. So And he's trying to lead, man. I mean, that's, I think, a big part. Here's a young man that's just, his second year, man. And he's trying to be a leader. And that's nice to see because, if he's the best player on the team, he's got to lead. And he's doing a great job, I think, in that area.
Jace.
And the second part of the question was with now that Rob Finney's back, all three of your point guards are healthy. We've seen Christian Lander have some good stretches. How are you going to handle all three of those point guards, or how do you want to handle all of them with minutes moving forward?
Well, that's a tough one. Rob is not 100% healthy, but he is back and he gives us veteranship. I thought coming down the stretch the other night and there's no knock against Tamar and Christian. Christian makes a big shot, but we don't get into the play with 10 seconds on the clock. The play that I drew, we don't even get a shot off. And, again, we went blank there. But, at the end of the day, to answer your question, Rob will still be the guy that comes in off the bench first because he's got the experience. And really based on how he's playing, will determine, what we do with Christian. It's hard to play 3-point guards and not especially when you got, Tamar Bates and Anthony, who I think deserves to play a little now too. I mean, he hadn't played much, at least, he gives you toughness and he can make shots. So I got to figure out how to get him in the game some too. So, I mean, it's a lot of moving pieces, but that's my job. I got to try to figure it out.
Chase.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. 2 questions. First of all, with conference play coming up and obviously, with the close game against Syracuse, do you think this week in practice has been, the energy is kind of ramped up this week in practice? And then my second question, more of a little bit of a fun one, but you guys have been rocking the suits the first couple of games. Any reason why going dressed casual against Syracuse? A couple people want to know.
Well, we changed up. I thought going on the road, we allowed the players were dressed and we're in suits, which, we're very professional. We all flew in together looking alike, coaches and players with same outfits on. And we just decided to go casual on the road. The players would wear suits when they entered the building while being on the road. And I thought they looked very professional too coming in. So, I mean, it's no big thing. That's how we're going to do it on the road. And at home, we'll look a little bit more professional.
Kevin.
And then about the practice ramping up. The energy,
well, we hadn't really been, the games are coming so fast that, we haven't had a chance to really have long, big practices that we've come accustomed to having. And I thought yesterday we had a long practice. We had a long film session where we looked at some of the Syracuse things, and then we started prepping and getting ready for Nebraska. And then we went to the court and had a long, long night. And today we'll kind of scale back a little bit and try to prepare a little bit more for Nebraska tomorrow.
Okay, guys, we've only got time for one per person. So, Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask about defense right now. How you feel like you guys are defending? You talked about the Jeremy shots in Syracuse. Obviously, you guys were defending at a high level early in the season. Where do you feel like the defense is now?
Well, we're still, I mean, if you look at our numbers, guys, defensively, we're still playing pretty good defense. I mean, we're guarding the 3-point line well, and we're guarding the 2. Teams hadn't shot it that well. Syracuse made some shots. I mean, they made some tough shots. But again, when you got shooters all over the court, their starting 5 averaged in double figures coming into our game, and we knew that they would get the bulk of the minutes. And we went into that game knowing that they had guys that can make shots. And, you know, I always tell our players, you can't hope that guys are going to miss shots. You got to make them miss shots. And we didn't do that in the game. And you compound that with the turnovers, you know, we were lucky to even make it a close game after getting down, you know, as much as we did early on. And I thought our guys fought, man, coming out at, you know, after the half and got back in it and really made a hell of a play here or there. We could, you know, we wouldn't be probably having this conversation. We'd be a lot more happy about how we came out of there with a big win. But, you know, for the most part, I was pleased with our effort and play. But the turnovers and the dare shots, you know, we got to, you know, those are things that you can fix. You know, I mean, it's not like they're not unfixable. So the turnover thing is, I just don't want this thing to last, you know, be lasting, because, you know, that's just not, you know, how we set out when we first got together in terms of playing offense. You got to get shots. You can't turn the ball over. So hopefully tomorrow we'll be a lot better in that area and clean up these dare shots, because I thought that's what cost us the Syracuse game.
Alec.
Hey, Coach. Nebraska has about 5 guards that basically average about 73 points per Nebraska is about 79, I guess it is. What do you guys have to do to really slow down Nebraska's kind of guard unit, and how do you think your guards have been playing up to this moment on the defensive end of the floor?
Well, I mean, I don't think we've played extremely well, you know, out front as of late, because we've been giving up numbers to point guards and all shooting guards. And, you know, that's something that we got to get back to being better. And, you know, we talked a lot about it yesterday, and did some things on the floor that I think might help us a little bit. But, you know, Nebraska, they guard driven, you know, I mean, in terms of their style and how they play. So we're going to have to really lock in and defend off the dribble, where we're not giving straight line drives and keeping people in front of us, where we making them make tough contested shots. You know, we got to keep them from the paint. You know, I mean, that's going to be huge with this team, you know, going into tomorrow's game.
Matt.
I wanted to ask, just because we have Miller on later today as well on Zoom. I guess now that he's a few games in, coming off that big game at Syracuse, I guess how have you seen him settle in now with these first 6-7 games so far into the season to a new team?
Well, he's starting to shoot the ball better. I mean, that's what we brought him here for. I think he and Parker both are starting to find their shot, which we needed. You know, we won some games early without those two guys even scratching the surface. And so, I mean, as we go into this Big Ten run, you know, they got to make shots. I mean, it's just, you know, that's why we put them in the position. They both are starters. And, you know, we bought Miller here for that reason. And I thought, you know, the last 3 games, he's starting to, you know, to find his range. And this last game, he made a lot of big shots for us to keep us in the ball game and even giving us the opportunity to win the game.
Okay, last question, Jim Coyle.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good.
Talking about the turnovers again in the Syracuse game, obviously 13 for Trace and Race. They have to have the ball in their hands a lot, but they're not accustomed to as much as some of the other guys. How important is it to get them to not be the course of your turnovers more important? But as a team, you guys are averaging 13 now. And if you take away the 225 turnover games and added the average of 13, you guys are only averaging 9 a game, which is probably where you'd like to be. But the big guys seem to be turning the ball over more than the guards.
Well, again, you know, I'm not going to take the ball out of their hands. When you play in the zone offense, there are holes in the middle of a zone, and you got to find those holes. And I thought they did an excellent job. I mean, hell, Trace had 30 and Race had 17 points around the rim in that zone. And they just got to realize, a lot of times the double team came down on them and they threw the ball away. They lost balls trying to make plays after getting the offensive rebound or when it was actually thrown to them in the middle of the zone. And these are things that, hey, they got to clean up. Like last year, Race wouldn't make plays where he's trying to shoot floaters and things of that nature in the middle of the paint against the zone, and vice versa. Trace, unless it was a dunk or, a drop-off pass where he can lay it in, they're trying to, do things which I'm comfortable with. When you're talking about going against the zone, yeah, you got to have guys that can make shots on the perimeter, but you also got to have bigs that can draw double teams once they get the ball in there to kick it out to guys to make shots. And, hey, we just didn't make we made a lot of good plays, but we made a lot of bad plays too. And those two were on the end of a lot of them. And we just got to make sure we help them clean it up, so we don't go through this again.